Welcome to the Spirituality Now podcast, a podcast committed to supporting you in your journey to life mastery and personal enlightenment. Welcome to the Spirituality Now podcast. I am your host, Yvonne de la Flor, and I have live in my office. I wish you could see them, but I'm feeling the pressure to put the podcast on video. I keep saying that I will, and these are guests that you want to see on video, that you want to see live. So very soon, we're preparing for that. I have one of my guests returning. We had one episode with him, Mr. Damon Damato. Yes?
Damon Damato.
Damato. Why do I always change your last name or your name? And Miss Angela, what's your last name? How do you pronounce it? Because my accent.
Damato Grace.
Damato Grace. Of course, Grace. Yeah. She's the embodiment of grace. So Miss Angela is the beloved wife of Mr. Damon. And I will put the link of the previous podcast for you to listen. Mr. Damon is an eminence when it comes to breathwork, cold therapy, Qigong, and all of the modalities. The founders here, my beautiful guest of the Healing Sanctuary. And today we're going to actually talk about the Healing Sanctuary because our first episode is so deep. I really recommend you listening to it, feeling into it. Mr. Damon goes through all his story and a very relevant history. One of the things I have learned in life, being a family constellations therapist, being in shadow work for more than 20 plus years because of my personal work and, trauma integration and all of that, is that when people share relevant story, facts about their life that may be vulnerable, may be tough, is when other people begin to be invited to heal. When we keep the narrative of the suffering going, when we don't go deep into our shadow, in our darkness, what we lead, and we don't take responsibility for what we went through, people cannot heal. So it's kind of a responsibility to mankind, to human beings, to tell your story in a way that is not to keep you in a position of victimhood, but to keep you in a position of I canhood, right? I canhood, breakthroughhood, and all of that. So listen to that episode. We'll link it on the copy, and we're going to start because you both are incredible contributors of the community. We're in Las Vegas. We're bringing Zen to the scene. They say it's called Sin City. With us here and with Mr. Damon and Miss Angela is bringing Zen to the city. This is Zen City, totally. Yeah. So welcome back, Damon.
Thank you for having me.
So what are we we're gonna explore your programs of the Healing Sanctuary. We're going to introduce the contribution and the incredible role, Angela, that you have. Right, too, in the Healing Sanctuary, and it's truly a sanctuary. So walk us through the Healing Sanctuary, and just for the people that haven't heard our first episode, tell them briefly a little bit about your biography, not the whole story. They have to listen to the first episode, right, but what you have founded, created, etc., etc.
Very good. Just in regards to my background, I always felt a sense of searching for something that I knew I was building towards in my life. I didn't know what it was. And through many trials and tribulations, a lot of loss, trauma, pain, been able to come through the other side. I like saying that I went through the eye of the needle. I went through the pain and the trauma and had to find my way back, which was like a boomerang, hurling into this new life in finding a way. And the loss of my brother was a part of the reason why I've chosen this path, what I saw it do to my parents, and the pain that they felt, and finding a way to help other people, be able to give them the strength that they need and give them actionable tools and solutions to be able to face the challenges that they're up against. And honestly, this will kind of lead into, so I want to tell the story of the Healing Sanctuary, and also to tell the love story of the Healing Sanctuary.
I love that.
The people listening will find intriguing and inspiring and just a great story. I had in the first episode we spoke of the Qi Revolution, which was a it was like a 3-day gathering that folks. It was almost like a yogi rock show in a way. There was lots of music and qigong and breath work and food healing, and we would do 20 shows a year all over the country. And I was involved in this organization actually since like 2010, and through the years. So I became an instructor. I became a partner. I was really like heavily involved. It's interesting to be anonymous and then actually be like on stage presenting in front of thousands of people, and sharing this wonderful modality of healing. Angela was involved in the program as well, but the funny thing is we rarely came across each other. She taught in the food healing, the science component of which was just really advanced teachings of nutrients and phytochemicals and the vibrancy of and the importance of real food, real results, and you are not what you eat, but you are what you absorb, and all that, like really teaching and bringing to light the importance of the food healing.
That's such an important difference. I've never heard that. You are not what you eat, you are what you absorb.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, we'll talk about that in a moment.
We will.
we will.
So and I was more on the more the physical side, the meditations, the mindfulness, the qigong, the tai chi, the breath work, and things of that. And so we kind of encircled each other for some period of time.
That's amazing.
And yes, and so but it was December 2nd of 2018.
That's my birthday. Yeah. Do you remember?
Yes.
Yes, that's what you. Yes.
That we kind of shared a moment it was in Daytona, Florida, for a final show in which she hadn't been to any of those shows at that point in time that year, but she decided to kind of connect or reconnect with the group because it was very much of a family. Everybody that was involved in this project, there was so much chi love going on, and it's always been that way. So it was really awesome to connect with everybody. And that was the last show of the year. And Angela had decided that she was going to, join in on the festivities and the healing and all the breath work. And she kind of just gravitated into my sphere. And even though we had come in contact with each other over the years, we really... It wasn't like that, boom. Like we were not in that
That's amazing,
space.
Isn't it? Yeah. Like the true love of one's life is not, there's not a boom, it just happens so subtly because it's real.
Yeah. And we began to talk and we connected right away. And in that next 72 hours, really, we were inseparable. And we
really?
Yeah. So within 24 hours, we let out a breath experience where everybody holds hands, and there's 1,000 and some people doing a connective breath work that everybody in unison breathes together, and it's all of your hearts, all of the energy, everything connecting, and we're sending exhalations of gratitude and per se almost like prayers into the world of healing, whether it be for the people of this planet, whether it be for clean water, whether it be vast energy that is being put out, but then also bringing it back into forgiveness of thyself, forgiveness for others, love, and just this beautiful connection that's almost undescribable type of feeling, but it really helped connect us again. It kind of really laid everything out like this is meant to be. And again, we were like inseparable after that weekend, and she came to come see me for New Year's that year, so 2018. Then I went to go see her, and then I was like, I want you to move here. So she came to Las Vegas, and so she moved all the way across the country, drove across country.
I remember in a blizzard, right? You came in a blizzard. That was like initiation. Don't you think that was like do you really want this? And you're like, yes, I want him.
I had been driving for 4.5 days. I promise you, I wanted it.
4.5. Oh, so you came from Florida driving.
I drove from Miami.
With everything in her car.
Yeah, I drove
by myself. Do you want more tea? By the way, we're drinking tea. I gotta say this to the podcast because, wow.
So the thing is when we I was married many years ago. And there was
you had that experience.
Yes, but I was not the person that I was now, and I had I went on my sabbatical for about 39 months and just traveled and had to also do my work. And you talk about shadow work, right? So I had to cleanse myself of the baggage, the negativity, the toxicity.
I love that of you, in our first episode, and I've been so aware. I began all my, because, we can always improve, right? So I have habits that I don't like, like I'm in bed, I'm going to wake up and I stay 5 more minutes. I'm like, oh, Damon said, change the whole thing. So I'm sleeping in the other side of my bed, and I'm waking up earlier. I change all my clothes, even though, okay, I go, and this is where my shirts go. I just put it on the lower drawer. And
change the pattern.
Yes. So I've been doing that, and suddenly I'm renewed.
Yes.
Just by those simple things.
Yes.
So anyways, yes, carry on.
We digress.
Yes.
But, so, we, like I said, I did want in my life to bring about my past and
Amen.
Any of that, so that I was very much liberated from that, so that I would have the ability to receive and give love without anything that would hold me back. And it was very important that I did that. I knew, just as in the first episode, I had this awareness when I was a young man, a boy, through the trauma and the pain, and realizing as I became a teenager that I don't want to live this life in fear. I'll never be able to experience life properly if I don't heal from this. Well, it was the same philosophy that overflowed. If I don't heal from my past, I will never have the relationship that is truly what I desire with the most incredible woman on the face of this earth, which is...
Oh, Angela. And guys, I wish you could see. They just kissed. I just got to say that. So,
but it's true. I had to do the work, and I know Angela has a similar but different story, but how... that's why this works is I had to dedicate myself to truly be open and not have anything from my past hold me back or hold me down, or allow just because things worked out or didn't work out in a certain way and bring those judgments.
Right.
That all women are this way and have this tainted,
Yes, those biases. The past is a place of reference, not a death sentence, nor a place of residence. And so many of us, sometimes we still keep gravitating to create the future from what we know, the past, and to really creating the future. This is something that Dr. Joe Dispenza taught. You got to exit all your narratives, even your concept about the future. You have to enter into a relationship with the future self you want to become now. And the old self, you're going to do a lot of grieving. I don't know if you have experienced it, but to the die to the old, even if it's the most distorted version of yourself, you kind of feel a romantic attachment to that distraught self, right?
Absolutely.
But it's so worth it. I mean, I'm seeing Angela here, and I'm like, she's just such an incredible soul, right? So you did the work.
I did the work from that, and also the indiscretions that we shared in the first episode about addiction and everything. Like, everything had to be cleansed, had to be cleared, so that I was prepared for the day. And I knew that being on this tour at some point would bring about the fruits of all the dedication and the love that I wished for, and it would, instead of searching, then I knew that it would just land without, I didn't have to look anymore. It was just and it did. It presented itself. It was almost that God told me, because we'd encountered each other every once in a while, but I was not conscious necessarily, and it was that moment when I believe God tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Look up."
And, this is a moment where we get teary, Like, Damon and I, last podcast, and all the team that was listening, they were all crying. This is because these are holy moments, right? And in A Course on Miracles, it says it's called the holy instant, right? That you really, you transcend time, biases, and everything. And I love what you said, that instead of you searching for it, it really was here in the moment. And there's a saying in a system called futuring, that the future arrives sooner than you expected it when you stop your romance with the past. The moment you decide, I'm going to be present for it all, you don't have to even become worthy or open it. You did the work. The future knows. And it meets you faster than you expected it. So, wow. So Angela arrived in...
So you share you.
And so welcome, Angela.
Hello.
So because this is the story of love of the Healing Sanctuary.
Yes.
It
So
is.
the Healing Sanctuary is birthed from a love story. And this
Yes.
reminds me,
Yes.
I'm going to tell you, this is powerful because I interview, his name is Joey's Hot Sauce. His hot sauce are the best.
Yeah.
Organic, pure, you will love them. I'm going to give you one. Joey, I'm giving a shout out to Joey's Hot Sauce. I'm going to tag him because he is incredible. He created his whole business of hot sauce, very pure ingredients, because his wife said, I can't eat anything. It's so like synthetic. It's so like she couldn't be happy. Just to pursue the happiness of his wife. He created this incredible brand with the purest ingredients. It's another love story of an incredible, I don't call them business. I'm calling them business because it truly heals you from within. And these are the businesses of the future. So Angela, I want to hear the other part of the story of birthing the Healing Sanctuary into existence. And now that, beloved Damon, I love the tap of the shoulder of God. I mean, can we, I'm still integrating, like letting that land. So when was your tap of the shoulder? When did God tap you in the shoulder? Hey, you got to go with Damon because the plans of God, imagine, it's like, okay, these kids are going to be together. They're going to have the love they need, all of that. They will be entertained. But the higher purpose is going to be this love that is going to be shared with so many families and men that are healing at the Healing Sanctuary.
Yes. Well, it happened for me
There must
in
have
the
been a
same
moment,
magical
right?
way. Yes, mine came. It really was the 72 hours. He's
72 hours.
It was 72 hours that we orbited each other for about 4 years. I describe it as not having a more than a hey, how you doing conversation. And when he spoke of the what is the name of the when we go and do the breath work that everyone united, there's a name of
A
it.
circle of empowerment.
The circle of empowerment.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
So we were standing and he looked at me and he went to reach for my hand and asked me if I would join him. And there was something, just the way that he had said it, there was something inside of me that said, you can trust whatever is about to happen.
Oh.
And a few nights later, I said that moment, that tap, it was actually our first kiss. So we had our first kiss and he literally stops. He takes a step back and he looks at me and he just goes, it's you. You're the reason why I went on tour this year.
Yeah.
And
True.
he did. He's like, it's you. And I'm thinking to myself, I go, yeah, it's me. And I've also had those knowings throughout my life, and I've learned to just trust. And I said after that weekend, I was in Miami still, and he was in Vegas, and he kept calling, and he kept showing up. And it was a couple of weeks in that I had to say to him, I'm like, I hadn't told my family, I hadn't told any of my girlfriends, I hadn't told anyone because I couldn't believe what was actually happening. Because the way he was showing up is the way that a man does when he is truly and genuinely interested.
Well, and a man that has done his work.
No, and that's the thing,
a woman
too.
and men. Because there's men that show up that will tell you, and women,
Yes.
you are the love of my life, I
Yes.
want all of this. But if they haven't done the work.
No, and you nailed it on the head. And it was only a couple of months earlier. I had said to God, I said that I want a man who has done his work. I had done my work. My trauma dramas that had come in my 20s, I spent the entire decade of my 30s single and doing my work. I was relentless because similarly, I knew that if I wanted a man of caliber, I had to be a woman that he also deserved.
I love that. Tony Robbins, he's one of my mentors. He said, instead of asking, this is the man I want, who do you have to become to be with that person, with that woman, with that man? It's not about them.
Yes.
It's about us, right?
Yes. So I knew that I had to be in that same preparation. And there was something also literally only 2 months earlier, I had come to peace within myself of being single and stop
I love
being
that. That's when you
victimized.
surrender. When you surrender.
It is. And you can't force it. I have conversations
Right.
with girlfriends is you can try and say that, but
No.
it really has to be an organic process that
Yes.
takes place. And I was like, okay, it's fine if I have to be celibate for another however long time. I've done it before. I can do it again. And I said, I want a man who has done his work. And I realized that is a tall order and I'm willing to wait because I'm done with the bull. Like, it's not worth it. I'm not interested in entertaining anything that's not who you have chosen for me. And that was a really big...
Isn't that the truth?
It is.
Who you have chosen for me.
Yes. So there's one of my favorite books is, it's a little skinny book. It's less than 100 pages. It's called The Game of Life and How to Play It.
By Florence?
Yes. And one of my favorite
Florence
stories...
what is it?
I forget.
Sorry, Florence Covington? Something like that, but it's Florence. It's Florence.
It's Florence.
Yes.
It's The Game of Life and How to Play It. It's like $7 on Amazon. It's so easy to get a hold of. Very easy.
Very
read.
powerful.
And
a new thought leader. She was back in the days with Neville Goddard and Joseph Murphy. They were contemporaries.
I think she was around in like 1929.
I know. Yeah, the same. Napoleon Hill. All of that. That was the birthplace of this new thought.
Yes, and one of my favorite stories that she tells in reference to one of the universal laws. When you really desire something, instead of going into a place of coveting, which is wanting someone else's, right? Taking something that isn't yours or wanting something that isn't yours from a place of lack, it doesn't work. But when you see something that you want, you say, I want one just like that. You say, God, I want one just like that. One that has X, Y, and Z. The one that you have chosen for me. And the one that is mine by divine right. And I found this really peaceful place inside of myself. And I thought, okay, that's a really good one to use for the man of my dreams. Okay. So I'm like, I want a man who has done his work. You know what I mean?
One that you choose for me.
The one that you choose for me, the one that is mine by divine right. Because what that allowed is for me to step back. It was no longer something that I was searching for. It was something I was waiting to receive. And that was a really big shift.
I just heard one of my friends, he said, how Jesus used to pray? He didn't ask, he didn't demand, he received.
Yes.
That's huge. That's what you are talking to me. You are talking Christ consciousness. You are talking high love embodied in a human form. And this podcast is turning to be a healing sanctuary on its own by your sharing. Whoever has the ears to hear, and the heart to open and the mind to open up to, I know what I'm experiencing here in my office, that I have the privilege to have Angela and Damon here. But if you feel the energy beyond the words, there's a transmission of the presence of God. Amazing. Just amazing. So God tapped you in the shoulder.
Yes.
God tapped you in the...
Yes.
He gave you... God had Damon give you his hand to invite you into the empowerment circle. This is wow.
Yes. So it was, and so that was the beginning of December, and then he had asked me to come for New Year's, and we decided why don't I spend a few weeks in Vegas and see what that feels like. And as I said, there just was a knowing, and I finally told my family around Christmas, and everything in my life had lined up because I was living in an apartment. My lease had been up for a few months.
Of course, that usually happens, right?
I was just paying my rent online, hoping that they weren't going to notice. The weekend before, I had actually given notice to my job that I loved, but unfortunately I wasn't being paid enough, and I was going under by staying there. I said, listen, I'll only be here through Christmas. And so when he had asked, I'm like, well... for me to come, I'm like, well, now that you mention it, my lease is up. I already quit my job. And so if we're going to do this, it's that leap of faith. And my mother's name is Faith. So I'm really good with those leaps. But it also, tying together the birth of our love as the birth of the Healing Sanctuary was because through the organization that we came together in, on one side, as he mentioned, was the food healing science education. That's my passion, and that is, where the place that I come from in my teaching and coaching and things like that. And then from his side with the breath work and the Qigong and the Tai Chi and, and all of that wisdom.
The cold therapy. That's very... I'm going to say that I've done cold baths and all of that before, but doing it under your guidance takes it to another level because it's so, I haven't felt as safe in the world as when I'm in the healing sanctuary.
Yeah.
There's a natural safety feel, but now I can, and the love. I mean, no one wants to
It's a
leave.
sacred environment.
Yeah, yeah.
It's protected, and we've done our due diligence to create that environment that has a feeling of safety, of warmth, and healing that is required. And so, coming through the love story and building upon this relationship, that we had a tragic loss of my mom had passed away, and there's a beautiful kind of story real quick. My mom became friends. And when my mom got sick, it was this woman, Angela, that stepped up and took care of her while I toured. And when I was doing things, like, she was the backbone, and also created a new relationship with her. And my mom was always fearful that I'm going to be alone. She wanted me to have somebody in my life. And then when Angela really took the torch and handled business and was just in command of everything that was going on, it gave my mom certainty that I was going to be fine in my life. Like I'll be okay, because it was a huge thing for her. And she had given me the ring that was generational. It was from her mother to her. And my mom said that she wanted my wife, Angela, now to have this, because she,
oh my God,
she earned it. This is hers. And not my first wife. She didn't say this. It was her. This was the one. So
amazing.
That again really.
Mom said no to the first wife. Which after we got engaged, I had asked that. I'm like, how come your first wife didn't get the ring?
Yeah. It wasn't offered. I didn't even know of the existence of it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I
know.
It wasn't offered.
No. So no, it wasn't. I didn't even know. I didn't have the back story on that at all. It wasn't. But she knew. My mom knew. Like, this might be it. Kind of thing. So it was something that she had stated in her will. This is the way. I want this all to unfold, kind of thing. So it was a huge deal. And so my mom passed, and but Angela and I persevered, and
when did she pass?
In May 9th, 2019. And so you
met on 20. Well,
right. So we're talking 5-6 months that we've been together. So taking on the responsibility of helping with my mom and all of these things was a huge responsibility that most people, anybody that I had been with in the past, probably wouldn't have done it.
No. I was just talking to a relationship that a wife was abandoned because she was diagnosed with something, and the husband said, "I can't do this," and things like that happen.
So it comes down to choices.
It's a testament of love and unconditionality,
and commitment, and
commitment,
and who in the character that she
absolutely,
her integrity, which is uncomparable. So, we got through that difficult time, and we began to do some traveling. We went to Bali, we went to some beautiful places, and then the pandemic hit.
Oh,
and so now we're going to kind of lead into the story of the Healing Sanctuary, which is very interesting. So remember, so what I loved to do was twofold. I had been working with another facility that was kind of a holistic in nature, and I loved working with people that were in, say, post-addiction, people that were struggling. But I was just teaching, breath work and Qigong, but, just minimal. And then I started working along the lines of more management over a period of time with it, but I wasn't making any decisions. The owners, would make their own decisions. And so I saw things that they did great, and I saw a lot of things that not so much. But, that's not my call. But I did my job, and I really was able to move the needle with folks that were troubled, and I loved it. And I learned so much working with real people that are basically detoxing off of heroin or meth or cocaine or,
my gosh,
intense opiates, heavy stuff. So I got to really put my skills to test with people that were overcoming addiction, and saw them come to life. I could see in their eyes that there became hope. There could be, so I'm like, this. I love doing what I did. The other thing I loved to do was tour and teach breath work to thousands of people, and on a huge scale. It's wonderful one-on-one or small groups, but it's also an insane experience to have 1,000 people, 1,500 people.
It is so powerful.
Across have them all dial into your higher vision, your guidance, and then really produce the fruits of the labor and see them just elevate their existence. Anyway, so I love doing that, but the pandemic hit, so we cannot hold hands and sing Kumbaya anymore and breathe
right.
in a huge auditorium. So the tour, we had 20 shows sold out. We did 3 that in 2020. 17 were canceled. We of course did not know the future of the world because it was so crazy,
everything collapsed,
right?
Yeah.
And I had disassociated from the other facility because the owners, they couldn't get along, so that kind of defunct. So basically, I am done. We're done.
It's like Angela when she came to see you. Right. Everything was like, I'm not going to be there in the job and everything. So
now her skills are.
Oh man, I see her. She's a superhero. Can we say that?
So
she just changed my fire alarm in my office. She's like, give me a ladder. I'm going to get it. I'm going to do it.
Yes.
Just here, guys.
Yes, my wife. But no, she is gifted. She is the most intelligent, brightest, amazing person I know, and I get choked up about that. So.
Because it's such a gift.
But she's a freaking genius, and I love the way that her mind works. She's
like the female Einstein. I was talking about it with a friend of mine. Like she's like the female Einstein for real.
So her gifts, along with the things that I am blessed with, when we put them together, there is this powerful yin and yang, this feminine, masculine. There's all of these great energies that swirl together. So when the pandemic hit, we didn't break down. We decided we're going to break through and let's. What if this tour was a place? What if the revolution was an evolution? And we put this into life and make this a brick and mortar and bring real people that are hurting, whether it be people trying to strengthen their sobriety, whether these are people that are veterans that are hurting, first responders, frontline workers. What if these are high-functioning professionals that are looking to, get their focus and ignite their life again, whether it be couples that we can work with, other men and women that are together and looking for skills to upgrade their life, and we can share, our story and how we were able to overcome, so many controversies and so on, like professional athletes, musicians, get to tap into the creation mode, to be inventive, and there's just so many things. So we created the Healing Sanctuary.
During the pandemic.
Yes, which is now a holistic restorative retreat.
Unbelievable.
And we guide people along the path of self-discovery and emotional recovery, right? And it is not a rehab. This is a full-fledged reset.
Yes.
A reset of your life, a reset of the way that your mind works, a reset to reignite, to reestablish, to realign, to redesign, all of these things. This is to bring you back past baseline. This is to really next level it. And if there is any remnants of, say, addiction, this is the if and all. This ends the cycle, ends the vicious circle. We want to put the kibosh on that. We don't want you to keep coming back 3 and 4 times. Most people in that state, the system is broken and fails them.
Absolutely.
And we put all of our ingenuity together and have worked now with hundreds, if not thousands, of people, and realize there's a way that this works, and it works for people. And we created what's called the Chi to Life program.
Yes. Let's talk about that. Yeah. Let's talk about that.
So the Chi to Life is the key to life. And the key to life is first and foremost to simply breathe. To understand that we as animals are the only ones that can change the pattern in which we breathe in order to elicit a different response. If you're having feelings of anxiety, if you're having feelings of overwhelm, for example, that hits the body. It's not in the head. So when you recognize what this is, and that granted you have to have some sort of body awareness or consciousness, but having an understanding that this is a wave, that I can begin to change my breath pattern. So if you're breathing most likely shallow or rapid, like almost panting like a dog when you're having an anxiety attack, realize if I change the pattern of my breath, I can begin to tap into the parasympathetic nervous system, into the calm within, find the still point within. It's not that it's that easy, but it almost is that easy. But you need to go through the program and understand. So
Right.
we look at the mind as the vault, right? And you've got the code to your vault. Or
I love that.
Or the key code to your vault. And we offer many, many different keys in the program. And this key is one to tap in. So the download is dozens of different breath techniques in order to respond to what is happening, whether it is fear, depression, anxiety, anger, frustration, whatever is going on. You have now tools and actionable solutions, not me just giving higher vision, but I said, this happens, this is your go-to. This is your go-to. You have different techniques in order to be able to face these challenges that we're up against, be able to get out there in the concrete jungle. I know is difficult. I've had many instances myself of fear and doubt, but it's being able, when you get hit and you're on your knees, is when, it's like, instead of looking down, you need to look up and then ask yourself, what do I know? Right? What do I know? And then we've given you these powerful tools to be able to face those challenges. What do I know? And also asking yourself, is this true? Because then we begin to create a narrative and this thing in our mind, and then we embellish the story and it becomes something else. So being able to be transparent with yourself and really go, okay, is this really true, or am I adding into this? So having a clear understanding of what this is, and then of course, what do I know? And I can gravitate to those powerful different techniques or modalities.
That's a powerful question, right?
Yes.
Is it true? Because that's rational inquiry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that we activate rational thought,
Absolutely.
that we really require it right now.
Yes.
A lot of the ailments that are happening with social media, there's no rationality right now.
No.
And in spirituality, there is so biased sometimes that
It
it's
is.
like, just say your way through it. You are so worthy. You don't have to do the work. You are entitled for everything. You don't
No.
have to earn it. That is messed up.
It is. Yes.
That is so messed up. I hear a lot of spiritual niche people say, you don't have to earn it. You already
Right.
deserve it. No.
They call it biohacking, and I'm really
No.
not about that. Yes, you.
That's
absolutely,
more bias
Yes.
Than bio.
You got to do.
Spiritual
You got to do
bypass.
the. Yes,
Totally.
yes.
It's a numbing.
You got to do the work, and you got to,
Amen.
So we sit down and we share these very powerful experiences, exploration breathing, performance breathing, in the moment breathing. There are all kinds of wonderful techniques that I've learned many over the years to combine some of the strongest, all the best pieces, and then bring them together so that you can effectively be able to get yourself into a state of calm, for you to be the still point, and understand that you have the power to do so. So breathing is first and foremost. The second key is the food, the science of food, and the psychology of food. I say the psychology was because I believe that we have to begin to have a new relationship with food.
Yes, that's so important. It's so messed up too.
Yes.
My daughter almost died from anorexia, and it was the input that I had. She used to compete in swimming, and the pressure. The teacher will say, "Don't eat so you can be faster. Don't eat so we can win."
Wow.
It was
Wow.
yeah. So just take
Yeah,
an orange,
that's-
and so
yeah, that is
the
incorrect.
competition. It was messed up. And all the diets, all of the without the science,
Yes.
the blood test, and
Yeah. So the science, So we
Yeah.
get into the science of the food. What are the nutrients, the phytochemicals? What about these foods? What if it's raw, if it's cooked? What happens? Like having a real understanding. So when you spend time with us, especially Angela
yes.
in the kitchen, she is all about the ingredients. And so if you
love
want to
that.
share some thoughts,
Yeah.
on
So
that.
tell me about your participation in the sanctuary. So how do you take care of that?
Well, it's lovely that taking care of the home as a home
Right.
for people to feel that safety.
Yes.
That they're not staying in some sterile environment. That they feel very welcomed,
Yes.
especially in the kitchen.
Yes.
That relationship that we speak about with food oftentimes, really stems from where we derive comfort. What did mom make us when we weren't feeling well?
Wow.
Was it macaroni and cheese? Was it a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? Did mom make chicken noodle soup? Oftentimes when we're not feeling well, we are seeking comfort. We are seeking something to give us a little bit of pleasure when our bodies aren't feeling well.
Yes.
There is a really a shout out to Dr. Robert Lustig, who wrote this really great book called The Hacking of the American Mind. And he speaks about the difference between pleasure and happiness. And this relentless pursuit of pleasure our culture teaches us will result in happiness, and nothing could be further from the truth.
Amen.
So where we will oftentimes go to, whether it's our favorite bag of chips or some fast food or something that's easy, is sometimes we are trying to self-medicate. And where...
Yes. So that's self-medication, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when people come into the sanctuary, everything is all of our... We call it chef-driven.
Chef-driven?
Chef-driven, yes. I've had one foot in hospitality, and I've had one foot in health and wellness.
But can I say, going to the kitchen with Angela is so healing, because you receive that healing of it's kind of ancestral healing for the modern now. I've eaten your soups. I've seen how you prepare things, how you bring things together. It's so healing. Just knowing that you are cooking immediately calms down my nervous system. No, but it is. I'm not praising. I'm telling you like what physical is happening in my body. Right, it's a relaxation. My amygdala relaxes. I'm going to talk brain-wise, right? I'm not in fight, flight, or freeze. My prefrontal cortex suddenly feels sharper. I'm so much more focused because we are having this care and this genuine good food that is going to be healing instead of self-medicating with the things that are going to mess it up for us in the future.
So for me, my perspective when it comes to food is it's all about the quality of the ingredients.
Yes.
And so most everyone who comes to see us is at square one.
Right.
And so square one for me is the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to remove the chemicals and the toxins from every single ingredient that enters my kitchen. So Damon and I have an 80-20 rule. We consider ourselves realists.
Yes.
So 80% of what you consume, the general you, including us, is organic.
Good.
What comes into my house is 100%.
Yes.
Because that's my decision. It's my choice. What I choose to put in my kitchen, in my pantry, and in my refrigerator, that's my choice.
Yes.
If I spend 20% of my time, whether I'm at a meeting or getting lunch or we go to a friend's or we go out to dinner or whatever that is, I don't worry about it because I can't control it.
Right.
So we do eat in our house 80 to 90% of the time.
Okay.
The other 10% is out, so I don't worry about that 10%. Why?
That's good.
Because what's in my house, you have to live your life. Yes, and it's not about being perfect. It's never going to be perfect.
But an 80% is super strong.
Yes, it's about being good enough. It's about making the highest quality choice that you have with the options that you have in front of you. When you're standing at the grocery store and there are, whether I'm at Sprouts or Whole Foods or Albertsons or Smith's or wherever, every grocery store is going to have a different selection. Where can I get the best bang for my buck? And being able to negotiate and understand ingredients allows me to ebb and flow through where I have to compromise here because that's the only choice I have. So I know I can get 100% over here. It's a sliding scale. Yes. Everything in life is on a sliding scale, and rarely are you going to get 10 out of 10. But you better know how to negotiate. You got to know the rules to break them, right?
Yes.
So if it is coming into my house, it is 100%. So when we have guests in the house, it is a fully organic. Every single ingredient is, unless for some reason I can't find it. Then the second thing that we do is we remove all the vegetable oils. This is so incredibly important. Seed oils are toxic, rancid.
Absolutely.
Yes, they are.
And they're in 90% of
they're
packaged food.
in everything, just like added sugar is in everything, just like aspartame. If it comes in a jar, it comes in a box, it comes, if it came from a company, it's going to have aspartame in it. And people don't realize that because they don't have to put it on the ingredient list.
Wow.
Right. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So what happened was...
I didn't know.
Yeah, I only learned this from just studying.
Well, I have one of my coaches, his name is Jesse Itzler. He's adamant in contributing consistently information like this. This is huge. He's right now in a war against all the people that sell cereals and that they say,
I'm sure that
this is all the vitamins that your kids need. He's like, this
That's
is killing our children.
Synthetic crap is what that is. Yeah, absolutely. So the quick skinny on how that happened was in 2013, the dairy industry lobbied Congress to be able to not have to basically tell people that they're putting aspartame in the milk supply, and they allowed that to happen. And it's not just for the sweetness piece, but aspartame breaks down into formaldehyde and wood alcohol, so it's a preservative.
That's why.
So they don't have to tell you.
I just felt.
I know.
I'm about to, after this podcast, I'm going to my pantry.
I know. I'm so sorry. Like,
no. Don't be.
But yes.
Here. That's what we're here, right?
Yeah.
Like you told me yesterday something. Let God nothing come between us except God, right? And you said a good friend, let there only be God between us. And a good friend will tell you this. No fluff, no. Like
no fluff,
all of my fluff, acquaintances are gone.
Yeah.
I just have direct friends, and so you telling this here,
That's what
I'm
love
like,
is.
my gosh, I could invite you, but I will be ashamed. I'm like, take it out.
No, and it's not that. Listen, you don't know until you know.
Yeah,
It
but
really
this is incredible. Anybody, it's like, oh no, I have to. You get to choose. You get to upgrade your health by these little things.
It is, and it's the little things that count. And
My gosh.
this didn't magically happen for me.
It's
just
education.
Suddenly one day. But I've been really studying these things for about 15 years, and I just kind of figured out a lot of
the
things
education you provide, both of you, plus the science, plus the
So
programs
that's what's
that
really important. Too.
Yes, because ignorance is more expensive than education.
Absolutely.
It's going to cost
really
us 100% all the time.
You're going to pay the doctor or pay the farmer. You choose.
Yeah.
So we noticed too a lot of people that come into the program that are struggling or just maybe they came out of a medical detox or they've been trying to do it themselves. But what happens here, especially whether it be like opiates, a lot of people use opiates for pain, and so on, and then it sometimes becomes something even deeper or worse, which is like heroin. They go into the street market and then so on and so forth. But what happens, alcohol and opiates destroy the gut biome. And it gets exacerbated by having a poor diet, then it's just adding insult to injury. So the thing is, what we normally do is exactly what she shared, but also we begin to use those bone broths. We begin to use
I haven't experienced it, but there's a lot of your bone broths are famous.
Yes,
I can't wait to experience it. I think I experienced a little bit, right?
You did when you were the miso. It was I start bone broths like very early in the morning, and then I let that go all day, and then
I tried to do the crock pot and everything. I forgot it. And suddenly, everything smelled so terrible in my house. I was like, "What is this? The bone broth." Anyways,
so let me say, so we're providing these very healing soups and bone broths, smoothies, fermented foods, because we need to restore the gut biome. We need to get it back online, and it just is getting shredded from their past, and it's never back to baseline. So that's a part of the process that's really key, is begin to nurture that and heal the belly.
Absolutely.
It's really important. So when they go through other programs and they're just doing talk therapy or they're doing AA and they're just roundtabling,
or the raw
just
stuff. I've done so many of
they're
those.
Not addressing. So they say the issues are in the tissues, right? So they're not addressing what's going on. So Qigong with the breath is medicine from the inside out. The acupuncture is medicine from the outside in. The yin and the yang, they come together, they combine as one, and it's a very powerful way to begin to treat the person.
But I love that you are also focusing on the gut health, because I love the saying, gut health is God's health.
Yeah, it is.
I love that.
It truly is. And almost everyone who comes to see us, their tummy doesn't feel good, they're not pooping well, and they can't sleep.
Yep.
And so they spend, it's all home cooked meals. Every single thing in that house is home cooked. Nothing refined, no added sugars, no artificial, nothing artificial, no vegetable oils. Everything is organic. You know what I mean? Like, it is as close to nature as possible.
That's it.
And then we begin to
adopt
teach
the
them
pace of
exactly
nature.
After they're with us for a little while, and they get to experience not only how easy it is to to eat this way, but I want it to feel like a home cooked meal, because the idea is to replicate this when they get home. So then I take them through the program, and I start to teach them how to cook and how to build meals instead of thinking in recipes. You want to think in building meals. I take them shopping with me. I put together mobile.
So there's the whole education,
whole education.
So we have
the
breath work. We have the food healing. We provide NAD, IV therapy, which is for our osteopath. So that's basically like regeneration, cellular regeneration in the brain. The synapses are beginning to fire off the way that they should. There's an entire thing that we do in regards to that with a particular doctor we work with. We have also another doctor of Chinese medicine. So, of course, acupuncture that is paired with herbology, and that's really key, opening up those meridians. So, with pain, trauma, can be physical, could be emotional. So we begin to break through those blockages, get the meridians open, get everything flowing. It's very powerful. So everything in conjunction. So when we were putting the whole Chi Life program, we were looking at all these different facilities and places across this country, and maybe they had one or two things here or one or two something other, but they didn't have an encompassing entire program. So adding in, like trauma recovery yoga, which is another, way to really tap into the body to open up. I have
sound healing.
Sound healing is another thing. We have the time
emotional freedom technique.
So
the infrared, the hot sauna,
the hot sauna, the infrared sauna, the cold immersion, the cold plunge.
I love it so much.
Yes, the EFT, so emotional freedom techniques, and we also have neurofeedback therapy. We have a doctor that we work with that provides something that's very, very unusual. It's a different program than most of the people come in contact with, but this really works especially with past traumas, PTSD related issues that are really intense with our veteran community. But you don't have to be a veteran to get the benefits from this, but anybody that has PTSD related issues and trauma. So when we combine all of these things together, they all complement each other. And that is what's required to really get to the depth and the core of what's going on with folks. And plus, we offer a number of different curriculums, whether it be, I have a program called TKO, which is True Kinetic Ownership. And that's really your ownership is you owning your shit. Kinetic is
owning our shit is what we're here for.
Kinetic is the momentum that we get from the truth. And then we begin to really, so that's an entire, that we could sit the whole show just on that.
We'll have you again.
I digress. And then of course shadow work. Instead of stuffing all that down,
we gotta bring it to the light.
Absolutely. So that's a part of the program. The food healing education part is something because Angela provides sit down classes. We have tutorials. We have and it's so every day. So the first month, many times you're absorbing and you're coming back online. The second month is basically you're in the kitchen and having understanding like, okay, why this food? What's the science? How the kiwi? There's more potassium in the kiwi than there's in banana, or there's more. There's all these other things like, wow, this is crazy. Why the avocado and the avocado pit? What is about the pit? Everybody never hears about consuming the pit.
They even bake it in Mexico sometimes.
Exactly. So
you bake it?
So no,
like
we blow it into smithereens in our when we do our smoothies. But but it's the benefits. Like why? Then what are we doing? So it cleanses the plaque from the blood. It's this beautiful thing. So anyway, we can go deeper into that. And
I'm going to have her solo show. I have all the food questions.
And another part of the curriculum is our conscious communication, which is we
so
have
powerful,
a
so needed.
Psychologist that works with us, and she shares, like how we begin. A lot of folks, they go, "Why should I even bother getting sober? That my spouse will never forgive me, or my parents will never." This is a way to begin to bridge that relationship back together, and how you can begin to have a civil conversation because you learn to articulate again instead of coming out of a reaction.
Survival.
Instead of reacting, and it comes out in just cursing. You're able to separate yourself and take a breath, and also learn how to respond and be able to use language in a way that you can share what it is that you need and what you're trying to convey, and then have a civil conversation and begin to bridge that gap. And also how you begin to be kind to yourself and to have that conversation with yourself, because there's a lot of self-hate, loathing, all these things, guilt, shame, it all comes apart. So how do you begin to create a new narrative for you and get out of the old story right? Like I can't, and I'm not good enough, and all these things. So that, you know what, I do deserve this. I can come back from this. I do have the possibility of being the person that's meant to be, with a life that's fulfilled, that's purposeful, that I meant to be. I have value. I have value. That my story, maybe I had to go through this in order so I can share this story with other people and help them out of the trenches. All these beautiful things, but the curriculum is really important. That pairs along with the 9 keys of the Key to Life or Chi to Life program.
So the Chi to Life program, how long can we stay there? Like how long is?
We've had folks that are, you know, not dealing with severe cases, you know, that have spent a weekend.
Like addiction of social media, because that's happening, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've had people with us, again, it depends on the intensity of an individual's case. We've had people stay with us with over a weekend or week and as much as 3 months. So we really kind of find out what, you know, where are you at?
And then you prescribe in a way.
And your experience is completely custom designed to you.
I love that.
And that is not really heard of.
Yes.
Yeah. And the other thing that I'll say this real quick is that this sets us apart from any other program, which is once you're with us, that's called the deep dive. But when you leave, that's the beginning of our relationship. Now the work, you know, because
I love that you are still with people. Yes. Like they you don't leave them alone.
So we work with their families. So if you're an individual that is just dealing with a lot of life, I'll say
a lot of life.
That we also work with your spouse or your family or whoever your surrounding people, your friends, whatever that is, so that they are in the fold and have an understanding, and that we'll put them through a half a day or a full day experience, so they knew what a day was like. When you you were like, oh, I was there for 3 months. They would have one. That's so
important.
So they can feel from a visceral point of view, like, oh wow, and you did this every day, because then they can appreciate the hard work and the overcoming of the fear, especially like the cold immersion.
I love that. Plus, they will be included. Let me tell you, because I've done for so many years, 10,000 something people rebirthing, right? The rebirthing therapy for healthy bonding and attachment. I used to do that. And my teacher used to say, when you go back home, just give the face of gratitude, because the people will not understand.
Right.
So that's all that we had.
Yeah.
Just the face of gratitude, but they will never understand. And you include them in.
Absolutely.
So no one is excluded, everyone is included.
Yes, their loved ones are involved and at least have an experience. And the other thing is that I've gone home with those individuals and set up shop in their home. So because when you get there, this is not the Healing Sanctuary, I'm home again. And I used to use the bathroom,
memories, the old memories.
Right? I used to drink in the kitchen. So we reconstruct the house. And if it need be,
you're like an architect of,
emotional architect.
Emotional architect.
Yeah. So we work with the families. We have an exit strategy that is going to be proactive and conducive for your success of your healing, and then have an outpatient program that you still are working with us. If you're locally in town, we see you. I even have a young lady that was staying with us for a couple of months, and every weekend that she gets off from work, she stays with us. And we don't even charge. It's just because we want to maintain the integrity of the work that she's put in.
She comes back home.
Yeah, so she feels this is home and that she's supported. And again, we don't want you to keep coming back. We want to end this vicious cycle. The Healing Sanctuary is for people that really want something different and want an end to the pain, that want an end to the vicious cycle.
But just get better, because
it's the end to the relapse.
It's
I know all of us could use it. I want to go there just become a better version of myself. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and after this,
after the pandemic,
eager to go to my pantry.
So after the pandemic, again, Angela and I sat down and say, we can do better. The system is failing our society.
I love you guys for that. You provided a solution for a problem that many complain of, and they do. I'm going to say it, and they do nothing. We have a rule in our team. If a complaint of people makes noise into our ears 3 times, it's because it's for us to create the solution. That's how we created the network television.
There you go. Great.
And so you created the Healing Sanctuary in the midst of a pandemic, providing healing, not only for the future of people, but for their families, and in an incredible, holistic, integrative way.
Yeah.
Amen.
Amen.
Well, guys, this is we're going to have Mr. Damon back into the podcast because we're going to talk about his incredible work. We're going to put it in another episode with veterans and the contributions they're doing to society. We're going to put all the information about Angela and Mr. Damon again on the podcast, on the copy, their bios, their Instagrams, their website. I really recommend you follow them, you message them, and then maybe I will see you at the Healing Sanctuary in Las Vegas. Thank you, Angela. Thank you, Damon.
Thank you so
We
much.
send you all our love. Les mando un beso. We'll see you next week. Adios. Thank you for listening to the Spirituality Now podcast. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform and share us with a friend. To learn more about how to live more present in the moment and take your faith into action, visit thelaflorteachings.com/faith to access the free training of 21 Days of Faith in Action today.